Go now, Matthew. Make it happen, son. Don't ruin a good day. Don't hurt Sluts' feelings.
I'd like to do it on my own.
Talk to the man. Make a difference, Matthew. Youngie, make a difference, son.
How's it going?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm great, mate. Thank you for doing this. I've been looking forward to this so much.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
Like, I was going around, I was like, on the internet, like, who does King Parrot PR? Who do I contact to try and contact the band? And just luckily, obviously, it came through. So I'm delighted that I get to sit with you and take some of your time up. So thanks, man.
No, thank you, man. We appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Wicked. So, King Parrot, you are on tour in Europe next January, with Pantera, obviously, and Power Trip, yourselves, and Child Bite.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you've toured with Down, Carcass, Obituary, but opening for Pantera and getting to see them every night, what's that like? I'm a huge Pantera fan, grew up on Pantera, and I got to see them in Norway last year for the first time ever. And
yeah, right.
Like, I was just a ball of mess. Just seeing them was just, but I mean, for you to be able to open to them and see them every night, what's that like?
Oh, man, it's surreal. You know, like we played with them last year in the US. We did 5 or 6 shows, I think, with them in the US, with them and Lamb of God last year. Then we did 4 shows out here in Australia with them. We did Knotfest, but we did also one headline show in Adelaide. That was amazing. We were the direct support that night, which was super cool. Man, I can't even tell you. Like, the first time I saw Pantera, I was 14 years old.
Wow.
And strangely, like, the first time, like, I was a massive fan because I, like, grew up, went through all the stuff. But when Pantera came and you heard Cowboys from Hell for the first time and Primal Concrete Sledge and all that sort of stuff, it just hit a little differently to everything else. Like, I'd heard Slayer and Sepultura and I loved all that stuff. But Pantera, they're just the production, I think, on it maybe was reached out a little bit more, especially on that Cowboys from Hell album. And then obviously they fine-tuned it again with Vulgar Display, but it really hit home when I got Cowboys from Hell. Anyway, this story, I was going to the Pantera show when I was 14, right? But the day before that, I flew in from a family holiday with my parents, and I was at the airport, and I was walking down the thing, walking down the airport, whatever, the run, the
in the
corridor or whatever. And and all these dudes with long hair and shit are walking down the thing, and I'm like, fuck, it's fucking Pantera. They were walking down the thing, Dimebag and Vinny and Phil and all the roadies, Brady and all of those guys. They were all walking down this thing, and we went down to the baggage where they pick up the baggage, and I was freaking out. 14 years old. I was going to the show the next day, and I got a photo with Dimebag and got to hang out a little bit and say hi. Like, I was choked up, I could hardly talk and all that sort of stuff. So that was such a surreal experience. I think that was sort of right when they put out Far Beyond Driven, maybe.
Nice.
And it was the first time they'd been in Australia. So that show really changed my life, really shaped the future for me. And, like, from wanting to be a little footy player and football player or whatever, and all of that, and sports guy. I was like, after I saw Pantera, I was like, that's what I'm going to do with my life.
And here you are. And here you are, living the dream, like.
And then, like, yeah,
that's mad. Like, you're now supporting them. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, obviously, it's the tribute to the brothers, obviously. But if 14 years old and you see them and you're like getting a photo with them, and now obviously years down the line, you're working with Phil, like at his studio, and like you're now out on tour supporting him. It's just incredible story, like.
It is indeed, man. It's like, I think, we've known Phil and Kate and the Housecore people and Down and all the New Orleans crew, I Hate God dudes, for over 10 years now. So, yeah, we kind of first met the guys from I Hate God. We met Jimmy and Mike and Gary and Joey, rest in peace, in Melbourne when we first started, and we played a festival, and they just happened to walk in when we were playing, and we were ripping the roof off the joint, and they really enjoyed it, and we got along really well with those guys. And then, like a year later, we were touring with Down and recording our second record with Phil at his studio and stuff like that. So that whole experience has just been pretty surreal. But for us, even, like to do it in America, to do it in Australia, and now, playing Europe with them is, it's mind-boggling. But hey, we just go with it. We just do it, and we just do it. You just do
it. I'm going to come back just in a little while about your success career and how you started. But I just want to ask, look, this is about you and King Parrot, but I just want to ask one more thing about Pantera related and around Phil. For you, obviously, you were young when you met him and this started happening. Did he give you like solid advice in terms of being a touring band, like in the studio, vocal techniques, this and that? Or was he very much like, if you need me, I'm here?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Yeah, like, I guess there's no better way to learn stuff off people than actually just watch them do it.
Yeah.
And just to watch what happens and watch how they interact with the crowd, watch what they do vocally and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I think the first thing, I remember the first time I met Phil, I was like, oh, so what do you do, like, to get ready for the shows? And he goes, fucking nothing. Drags on a cigarette and, having a beer or something, but, I think, we've done a lot of stuff together, and yeah, he's definitely given me a lot of pointers around writing and lyrics and about how to make songs sound more descriptive as opposed to self-centered, like little tips around that, little tips with placement and delivery in the studio, things like that. He's definitely helped me out a lot with that stuff over the years. And it's certain, even just like little things with like the way that you wear your headphones when you're recording your vocals and stuff.
Really?
Like, yeah, just, and all little things that have just stuck with me because I'm like, this guy has worked with, not only is he one of the greatest vocalists of our generation, but he's worked with lots of people, producers and the like, that have done amazing records and things.
I mean, you think like Terry Date on the
right
Boys, or I'm not sure how much he produced the albums, but he was certainly on the earlier stuff, and like obviously the success of their albums is incredible. But anyway, look, we're not talking about them. We're going to talk about King Parrot now because when you were announced as support, it was only maybe a couple of weeks ago, I think, not that long ago. And I was instantly like, yes, because I've been in Australia twice in the last 4 years. And I've always been keeping an eye out for, are you guys playing? But it's never sort of come around. So I'm delighted now I get to actually see you in on home soil. And when I was saying to people, like, have you seen the support? They're like, yeah, Power Trip. I'm like, no, King Parrot. And they're like, who's that? I'm like, oh, lads, like, listen to King Parrot. And so It's funny, I was at the gym yesterday, met a guy for the first time. I was like, listen to King Parrot. He's coming to Pantera. My mate, who's a massive metalhead, listen to King Parrot. And I've been going out to them, what do you think? What do you think? And they're like, this is right up my street. How have I never heard this band before? Which is mad, because you've been around so long. I don't want to sound like you're old now, but you, as a band, you have been like, and what I find phenomenal from King Parrot is it's hard enough to break Australia in the metal scene as it is. It's harder to break out of Australia onto international touring scene as you have. What's even more mind-blowing is you have broken out from Australia to support bands like you have, playing the music you do, which is disrespect, like, because obviously when we're talking about Australian acts, you're talking AC/DC being number one, obviously. Then you've got like Parkway Drive who are broken through, but it's very different. And then there's you playing grindcore, which it's just a phenomenal success story. And I suppose, is this down to your hard work, perseverance, or would you say there's a bit of luck in there as well?
I don't know how much, like maybe a little bit of luck here and there. I think there's been it's like there's a few different elements and aspects to the band. Like there is the music, obviously, and then there's the live show, which we've become definitely in Australia. Like people know that if you go on a King Parrot show, it's not for the faint-hearted. You know, something's gonna happen probably. Something ridiculous may happen. And then we have our like music videos that have been, you know, an integral part of our growth as a band as well. Like when we put out the Shit on the Liver video, that kind of caught fire a bit, and in the underground scenes, it kind of got there, you know.
It's so good, that video. My mate, when I was in Australia, showed it to me, and we were just laughing so much at the start. And I meant to ask you, actually, I know you've got your name as Matt here, but when he says Matthew, the way he says it, I was like, oh, do I call him Matthew or Matt? The way he says it in the video, it's just. But sorry, I'll come back to the videos in a minute. But sorry, carry on.
No. So I think there's just those. There's a few elements to what we do. I can't even remember what the question was now.
It was breaking out of Australia, luck or.
Yeah, right. So I think that was when we first started the band. We've definitely taken our cues and a lot of influences from the underground scene in Australia. So like it's probably a whole bunch of bands that not a lot of people outside of Australia know that we are really influenced by. And they're bands like Blood Duster, Damaged, Bean Flipper, Sadistic Execution, who are an influence of mine. Probably not so much the rest of the guys, but definitely me. And then, you know, they were, you know, viewed as an influence by the black metal scene in Norway early days. You'd see them wearing Sadistic Execution t-shirts. But bands like that, Dreadnought, Alchemist. There's a few bands that were really quite prominent in the underground scene in the 90s in Australia that never got that opportunity to really spread their wings and play internationally, because it was, I mean, the world was such a long way away back then. And I think one of our goals was to be able to sort of write music, pay tribute to those bands in our sound, uncompromising the whole way, and deliver it to an international audience as best we can. And we knew it was always going to be a hard slog. You know, we always knew that it wasn't going to be a walk in the park to do that stuff. I mean, there's not, you know, you could probably count on one hand the amount of bands that make a living out of playing grindcore. You could probably count it on two fingers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But you know, like you know, we don't make a living out of it, but we do okay, you know, like we pay the bills, and we've been able to travel to America. Maybe, I don't know, we've done like 13 or 14 US tours, and we've been to Europe,
Indonesia.
Yeah, we've done a lot of international stuff. We've been to Europe 5 or 6 times, and we'd love to have done it more, but you know, it is what it is. We understand that we've set ourselves this goal of uncompromising. This is the music we do. This is what we do. This is how we do it. We have a great time doing it. We have fun. We make great videos. It's another outlet for us to be creative by making the videos. And then we put on that show. That's the show we do, and that's what it is. And yeah, it's like, I mean, we've exceeded any sort of goals that we might have had at the start by a long shot, you know. And now it's just like, let's just see how far we can push it, and let's see how far we can go with it, and see how far we can take it, and let's just keep going. And the fact that we've got someone like Phil as a close friend and supporter of the band, like, it's helped us take it to even more people, which is awesome, you know. And yeah, we're very grateful, and like, we've made lots of great friends on the way, you know. Like, we've made friends with Max Cavalera and the guys from Obituary, and you know, I met the guys from Carcass a few times. They're awesome. And we haven't been lucky enough to play with Napalm Death yet, but that's definitely one of our.
That has to be on the cards. That's
got to be on the cards. Like, I've met Shane a couple of times. We played with him at the House 4 Horror Fest in Austin in 2014, I think it was. And I was in an elevator at the hotel with him, and I was like, dude, I'm playing this band King Parrot, you know, we got to play together. But it hasn't happened yet, so hopefully that'll happen. We have the same booking agent in Europe now, so that's
okay. That's got to be, yeah. The other thing I was, when you were talking about then, like, these bands that the one that I springs to mind now, maybe breaking the mold up Australia. Would you say the Berserker had some sort of saying in that as well? Because, you know, they're I don't even know how to describe them, but they are so extremely ridiculous. But I remember seeing a Berserker album in England when I was like 15 in HMV, and I was like, all right, let's see what this is about. Listen to it, and I was like, Jesus Christ, where are these guys from? Do you think they helped break that scene a little bit?
I think they definitely did, man. Like, I guess they're probably not one of the bands that we were influenced by directly, but in terms of them getting out of the Australian scene, they, you know, when they signed to Earache, it was a pretty big deal, and they were one of those bands. Like, I mean, a couple of the guys, well, Toddy, our drummer, he played in the Berserker for a while, and our previous guitarist Eddie, who played with us when we first started, he was in the Berserker as well for a while. Yeah, they definitely had an impact on what was going on. It wasn't, from what I could tell, they weren't as popular here in Australia as they were overseas.
Really?
That's what I gathered with the Berserker, for sure.
I know, and obviously they've stopped in that now. I think the band Werewolves is one of which puts out
Werewolves, and Dave from Psychroptic is playing drums for it. Yeah,
that's right. They put an album out like every 2 weeks or something stupid. They just endless.
They are insane.
Yeah. So then, coming back to the videos, which I just love, and this brings me on nicely to a point that, as a band, you obviously, I've yet to see a live show, but I can only imagine the chaos. But you are a band that doesn't take themselves too seriously, looking in from the outside. Sorry, looking from the outside in. And that's obviously very relevant when you look at your music videos. When you are a band like this, is that important to you, that you don't take yourselves too seriously? That you you're making these videos to share among other people to get them in, if that makes sense?
Well, I mean, I don't think we even think that much about it. Like, we just do what we feel is, you know, it usually just stems from these stupid ideas that either me or our video guy will have, and then there may be a certain idea, and then we'll sit down and have a bit of a round table, and then develop the idea and we always try and develop a story or some reason why something happens. There's got to be a reason why it happens or what. Yeah, so that's just something that we've always just had fun doing and developing and just being creative. It's just another opportunity to, I don't know if you've ever filmed videos and stuff like that, but it's just so much fun, man. It's just, we have the best time making those videos. We made a new video a couple of weeks ago, and I got to say, it's probably the most ridiculous thing we've ever done. Like,
and that's saying,
something.
Yeah.
We've been in bondage and discipline dungeons. We've done all sorts of shit.
You've been a barman.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well, there's a bit of bar action in this new one as well, but it's like it just goes down this really stupid fucking path. It's ridiculous, but it was so much fun to make it. Yeah, we had a great time. So yeah, we'll probably try and get that out before we come to Europe and get the ball rolling with this new album stuff that we've got coming up.
And when you're filming the videos, and I'm just talking about Shit on the Liver for now, which, by the way, was nominated for an award, wasn't it? Am I right in saying that? Like some...
Yeah, it was nominated for the Australian Music Video Awards. Yeah, it was like it kind of got into the finalists, and we lost it to someone like Gaudier or whatever, some pop star on it. But we went to the finals, and it was in this big old theater in Melbourne, and it was packed full of people. And when our video came on, we by far got the loudest response. Like it was, it was great.
Because I was watching it the other day, and the thing that, especially Shit on the Liver, like the intro where you're getting the parking fine, and then Slats is like, Matthew, go get it reversed, and he's like saying, "Oh, we're gonna have some. I'm gonna make something tonight. Mobos or
it's called Bonox."
Yeah, what's that?
So it's made by the same company that made Vegemite,
right?
And it's like a it's like a warm beef drink, like a beef stock drink. It's this stupid old, like if you type Bonox commercial into YouTube, just watch that and you'll get an idea of what it is. It's so ridiculous.
100%. So yeah, that's open a bit, and then obviously you go up and start singing the lyrics to the parking meter, and then the one thing that got me was you wandering down the street with a ghetto blaster, and I'm just thinking in my mind, what were the people who happened to be walking by? Like, what was their reaction to that? Or did you warn anyone? Or
no, we didn't give a fuck. We went straight down Smith Street, Collingwood, and we just did it. We actually had the music blasting out of the ghetto blaster, and we had this. It was like a belt that had we each put the belt on, and it had this big like pole coming out of it that had the camera attached to it, so we could just sort of walk along, and the camera would move with the walking motion, and we could all sort of get in behind. And that was genius. That was awesome. That was really really cool idea, and so much fun to make. Yeah, I mean, and that was fun, but I've had probably more fun on some of the other shoots for sure.
Really? Yeah. And then obviously being from Australia, you've done a few tours there. I think you did one with Astro Death recently. We are just about to do a tour. Oh, it's not started.
We're starting in like 2 weeks, and we're playing with Weed Eater from America. They're coming out, and we're playing with Astro Death and another band called Chuff from Melbourne.
Cool. And
yeah,
so I said I've been out to. I was in Sydney, and a mate of mine who is in a band called Awe. They're from, I don't know if you've heard of them. I got sent a promo and ended up interviewing them, and then when I was in Australia, went over, stayed with him for a while. Cool. But we went to Frankie's.
Oh yeah,
which was phenomenal. Like he was like, you have to go because it's shut now, obviously, because they put they built a metro line or something like that.
That's
but I mean, for one, the pizza was the best I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
But just the scene down there, like Frankie's. I also went to the Duke, which I think, have you played there as well?
Oh, yeah, we played all those places. Yep.
That's insane. That like,
Yeah.
what's the difference between Australian crowds at a King Parrot club show compared to the Europeans?
Well, it's been a long time since we've been to Europe. We haven't been there since the end of 2017, I think, something like that. We did a UK tour, but I guess we've been playing here for such a long time, and this is our home, and for example, when we would go and play at Frankie's, it would just be chaos, huge line up down the road, and it was always free entry.
Yeah.
So it would just be, we'd get in there, we'd do our sound check or whatever, and then 300 or 400 people would just smash into this venue, and you just couldn't move. Like we've had some of the most amazing shows at Frankie's, and now the Duke has actually kind of taken over that sort of ethos of free entry and food for punters. So that's all, like not in the city like Frankie's was. It's out in Enmore, which is cool suburb of Sydney. And the last time we played there was I think we played there last year, just before we went to America. And my lord, that place you couldn't move in there at all. Like they ripped the PA off the roof. The speakers were being held by the audience.
Wow.
It was fucking crazy.
The Duke's a lot smaller than Frankie's, like considerably.
It's quite a bit smaller, yeah. There must have been I'd say I don't know how many people were in there. I wasn't. They're not selling tickets, and they're not. I don't know. Someone's probably keeping count, but it wasn't me. It was crazy. It was unbelievable. One of the most fun shows we've ever done. It was nuts. So I guess we probably haven't seen that kind of enthusiasm from international, or sometimes we get a bit of that sort of stuff in America, and all that. But I don't know, for some reason in Australia, it's just it just goes next level for us.
This is why I'm here, to get people to recognize that King Parrot is an incredible band that everyone needs to listen to. If you like heavy music, you have to listen to King Parrot. And I've been plugging it. So I'm going to plug this more and just get it out there. And like, if you're going to the shows, the Pantera shows, like, get in early. And that just goes for every show. Like, get there early and show support for the support bands. You won't regret it. And then, have you been to Dublin before?
Yeah, we played in Dublin. Yeah, we played in Dublin, and we played in Belfast too.
Okay.
Yeah. We played there with Soulfly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, back in, it was a long time ago. 2016, maybe? 2016.
2016. Where would I have been? I would have probably been at that show. Was that at the Academy by any chance?
I don't know, man.
No.
I have no idea. Maybe somewhere like Limelight. Is it Limelight?
That's the Belfast one.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
I could probably Google it.
Yeah, let's do that, because I'm starting to think, have I actually seen you in Dublin 2016?
You might have. Let me have a look.
Erased it from my memory.
I'll Google it. I'll see if I can. I can see if I can.
Or walks in and was like, "No, I'm not getting in that pit."
Hey, I was at the Academy. Soulfly plus special guest King Parrot and Insight live at the Academy.
I'm gonna have to check back on my tickets if I was there. Anyway, but look, when you're in Dublin, Matt, I was saying to you, I'd love to meet up and have a chat as well. Like,
oh man, we will for sure, absolutely.
Do this as well. Maybe have another little interview of you in Dublin, and maybe I can show you around a few places.
Great.
Yeah, it'd be great. It's a Friday as well, so let's definitely do that. And just coming on to that point about Dublin, and you've been sober now for what, coming up 13 years, is it? 12, 13?
Yeah, it's actually it's going to be 13 years, like next week.
Wow,
next week, the week after, like 27th of October. Is my day.
That's incredible. Congratulations. That's phenomenal. And sorry, the reason I brought that up was because obviously showing around in Dublin naturally leads to going to bars and stuff. So I'm fully aware that won't happen. But like 13 years of being sober, especially being in a metal band who, you know, if we go back to Pantera stories of what do you do before you go on stage, Dimebag used to do a shot of Jack Daniels, Blacktooth, whatever. And you being around this metal, because metal isn't closely associated with drinking. If you go to a festival, everyone's having beers. If you go to a show, everyone's having beers. And for you to put a barrier between yourself and that, it must be incredibly hard. Like, although I think the world is evolving now, and I think people are more, they recognize that if someone says, look, I'm not having a drink because I'm an alcoholic, back in the day it might have been, you're not, blah, blah, blah. But nowadays I think people respect it more. So how have you found that in the metal scene?
Oh yeah, it certainly wasn't easy at the start. That's for sure. It was very challenging at the start. It was one of those things that I had to ease into. And I guess the thing was that was sort of when we were first starting King Parrot, so it wasn't like we were doing international tours then or anything like that. We were just sort of playing around Australia and starting to get the band known and forming, so to speak. So it wasn't so much touring, but I would just go to the shows and then just leave, you know, for the first year or two, because it was challenging. And I found, you know, some of the guys in the band that do like to drink and party and all that sort of stuff kind of couldn't quite understand what I was doing or why I was doing it. But I mean, I think they probably understood why I was doing it. They just didn't see why I'd want to stop.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, it had got out of control in a lot of aspects of my life, at various times as well. Like at times it had gotten really, really, really bad, and then it'd pull itself back a little bit, and then it'd get really, really bad again, and then it'd be not as bad and manageable, but when it was bad, it was really, really bad, and it was bad enough for me to want to stop, you know. So, and I knew that I couldn't just drink, because every time I drank, I'd take drugs. Right. so I knew it, and I knew it all kind of had to go, because I knew wasn't capable of making a good decision after I'd had a couple of drinks. And if I was drinking, I'd want to smoke cigarettes as well. And I really wanted to quit those little bastards, and that was one of the best things I ever did as well. So yeah, it was super tough at the start, and then even getting some time up, and then starting to tour a little bit. And I always had, for me, my focus was always on the show and the business and taking care of things, and you know, being the tour manager, so to speak. And you know, I would even for the first whole bunch of years, and even up in, you know, some shows I still do it, where I just sell the merchandise as well, because I might as well, like, more people come up and want to buy shit if I'm standing there. So, and I'm not sitting around doing drugs or drinking, so I might as well be doing something that's going to benefit the band. So that's the way I've always looked at it. And you know, and I'm under no illusions about what kind of music it is, and what kind of, you know, it's hard to make this work. So if I can look at this as like, I'm going to work, and I'm going to work doing what I fucking love doing, then that's cool. Like we leave our egos at the door. I got no qualms around driving or driving the van. I don't need someone to drive it for me. I can do that. I don't need to pay someone to do it. I can sell the merch. I can do that. I can talk to people. I enjoy it, you know. So yeah.
And did you go to rehab, or was this self?
No, I didn't go to a rehab. I did a 12-step program.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got stuck into that. Yeah. I had an ex-partner that was in rehab when we were trying to get clean together, and they were trying to get me to go in there, but I kind of refused. I'm a bit of a stubborn prick. And so I just kind of copied what they were doing in the rehab facility. I had their schedule, and I was like, they're doing this and they're going to meetings every day and they're doing yoga and they're doing Bikram yoga and they're meditating and they're doing this stuff. So I just started trying to implement that into my life the best way that I possibly could.
And so I recently, one of my friends, my good friends, we were away last year in Portugal, and we found him like face down in a plant pot. We were in an all-inclusive place, and he was an alcoholic, and we found out about that. And it's until you are in that position of either the person who is the alcoholic, or you don't realize the impact it has around everyone else. Now, he's just, I think, maybe a week and a half ago, just hit his 1 year milestone, which is
Wow.
I said to him directly, I said, look, mate, I'm so proud of you because I had you down as someone who was probably going to relapse very early, and he's still on. So a year's great. I mean, obviously 13 is great. What advice do you have to someone who's starting or early in the journey, like, you know, to carry on that?
My advice would be just take it one day at a time. That was the one thing that really, when I first started getting around the recovery circles and all that sort of stuff, like when I used to try and quit, I'd have this thought in my head that I'd have to quit forever. You know, if I'm going to quit, I need to quit forever.
Yeah.
And that always just sort of, you know, my head would go into that frame of mind, and then it was never attainable. All it would take was someone to call me up and go, hey man, I'm going to come over and bring some gear over, or hey, you want to get a case of beer or something? And I'd be like, oh, I'll quit forever tomorrow. You know, like,
yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll quit forever tomorrow after I get fucked up with my buddy, and and then that would just lead on for days and days on end, generally speaking. And so when people started saying just for today or do it one day at a time, I was like, and they were just like, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Just stay clean today. And I was like, fuck, all right, well, maybe I can manage that if I can get up out of bed, call my sponsor, go to work, go to a meeting, go to dinner with some people at the meeting or whatever, and then, fuck, my day's done. I did it. I did it. And then just start stringing them along. Yeah. You know, do something good for yourself as opposed to doing something shit for yourself. And so I started doing good shit for myself, you know, all the time. Like I you know, and I still do it to this day. And, you know, therapy and all that stuff. I just do it because it helps.
Like, congratulations, Matt, because I think people probably didn't realize how hard it is when you've been in that situation to come out the other side, and like the difference must be amazing. Do you think and this is quite a personal question, you don't have to answer it, but do you think if you hadn't, you'd be in a completely different situation today?
I'd be dead for sure.
Yeah, that's what you think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It was a miracle that I wasn't.
Yeah.
Previous, like it was it was a miracle that I wasn't dead previous. That's what I mean, maybe not necessarily an overdose or something. Potentially an overdose. It could. I mean, if you're taking those kind of drugs, absolutely, you're every chance to overdose. You never know what you're really taking, but the behavior that's associated with being blind drunk and high on drugs is some of the things that I've done probably should have been dead, but luckily I'm not, and luckily I didn't hurt anyone else or didn't kill anyone else, which is great. And you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore, which is you know, a blessing in itself, you know.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, really phenomenal work, and like really well done.
Thank you.
You're still here, and you're here now, and you're fronting King Parrot still, which is incredible for the scene. So that's another blessing. You're talking much quickly, Matt, and I was on your website, the King Parrot web store, in the Europe shop, and I was trying to get my hands on some vinyl, and it was all sold out. So I had to go to Discogs to get Ugly, the last album. So
Yeah,
I finally got myself a copy. It should be on its way now. Is there going to be
great.
any vinyl at the show, or?
I can't say too much right just yet, but there's gonna be vinyl. Yeah, there's always we love vinyl, man. That's our thing. I mean, we're with the Agonia Records out of Poland. Put out our last few albums in
Okay.
Europe and the UK. So if you check out Agonia Records from Poland, they've got our vinyl over there.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
if not, I'll be getting you to sign a copy when I see you at the merch table in Dublin for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So not a problem at all.
Yeah, and I'm really keen on the sweatpants as well, the King Parrot sweatpants, and the amazing, I don't know what you call it, but it's like a checkered shirt, like workman shirt.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
so nice. I'm gonna have to try.
We call them flannies, flanos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Like you call thongs, but thongs are something different over here.
Yeah. You got to be careful with that one.
You really do. You really do. So then, just last couple of questions for you, Matt. And again, thanks so much for having time and hanging out. It's been great. You mentioned then about a new video, which obviously means there's new music in the work. Talk to us, timelines, any hints about the name or?
Yeah, well, look, there's nothing outside of. We've got a new video, we've got a new single, we've got a new album. We're just sort of finishing it up at the moment. We've sort of decided on the artwork and all of that stuff. We're just wrapping everything up, basically. It's sort of got to that point where we've spent most of the year working on it. We did Knotfest earlier in the year around Australia and the extra Pantera show. So we got to play in front of a lot of people, which was amazing. And then we've done a few shows here and there. We went and played in Tasmania, and we played a couple other shows up Mildura and Broken Hill, sort of places right out in the middle of nowhere. So we haven't really played live too much this year, which has been, it's been good to just be able to get back in and be creative, be in the studio again. And we found a really great studio where we feel comfortable called Danger Tone Studios. And, that's here in Melbourne. And it's great dude that works there, Luke. And he's a great engineer, and he's been doing some awesome stuff out of Melbourne. He's been working on the new Psychroptic record as well, which is really cool. And what else? He's done some cool stuff. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but he's got amazing gear in there, and he really knows what he's doing, takes pride in what he's doing as well. And he's given us a lot of time to get it right, invested a lot of time into it for us, which is we're very, very grateful for. So yeah, we're just wrapping it up at the moment, basically. And we'll be putting some stuff out before we come to Europe. That's the plan.
So there's going to be new songs on the set list potentially. Not to put words.
Oh yeah. We won't. We're going to play some new songs on the Aussie tour coming up in
cool.
In 2 weeks. We're going to play like maybe 4 or 5 new songs, and we're just going to start doing it. We just want to play. We want to add some new songs, inject a bit of new life into the set, and we'll definitely be doing it when we're in Europe. And we're sort of talking about adding club shows as well on the off days, because Pantera won't play every day. I'm not sure what Power Trip are doing, whether they're just doing the Pantera shows and just cruising, or whether they're going to add shows in between or whatnot. But we're definitely going to be looking at adding extra shows in between on the off days and all that sort of stuff.
But I think you've actually got an off day after you played Dublin, so
right,
you can come play in my house. And
I don't know if you want that.
I don't know if you want fee. It's just a small fee, we can sort something out.
There might not be much house left afterwards.
Well, that's true. That is true.
I think going to Dublin, I think we have to catch the ferry.
Yeah.
We have to have a day to catch the ferry and then have a day back or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll meet up at some point. That's for sure. I'm just going to throw Australia's. My brother-in-law lives in Perth. Myself and my wife met in Cairns 14 years ago, and that's why I moved to Dublin. I feel like I should have been born in Australia. Like, I love the sun, I love the people. We were toying with moving out there, but that's come to a bit of a standstill at the moment. But I mean, I've fallen in love with the scene as well, the metal scene, since we started this podcast and getting promos. You know, Or was the first one we got, and I've been checking out other bands as well. So I'm just going to throw a few Aussie bands at you, Matt, just to see if you know them. Now, I think the first couple you will. First one is Low.
Oh yeah, I know those guys. Yeah, I know them well. Yeah, they're good dudes. Yeah, great. They've got that. They have that very awesome video.
Yeah,
with all the pink stuff. You know.
Yeah.
I've seen them a bunch of times. We played with them a bunch of times.
Have you?
Guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have I seen them? No, I haven't yet, but I love their last album. Psychroptic, obviously.
Great dudes. Yeah, I have a side project actually with the Haley brothers, with Joe and Dave. We have a side project called Crisis Act. It's like, it just sounds like a mix between Psychroptic and King Parrot.
Crisis Act.
Yeah, it's called Crisis Act. Yeah, we've done a couple of EPs. Joe and Dave basically just write this crazy grind stuff that's like 1 or 2 minute songs, and they just send it to me. Oh, we've got some demos, and I'm like, if you know anything about those guys, they're the most accomplished musicians in the metal scene in Australia by far. And they send me these demos, and they're like album quality songs, these ripping 1 to 2 minute songs, and it's great. You know, like they asked me to do it, and I was like, of course I'm going to do it. And we've got this little project now. So I've actually got a new album, whole new recording sitting there that Joe sent me that I've got to put vocals on, that I haven't started yet because I've been doing the King Parrot stuff, but I'm going to start on that soon.
Is this Artificial Noose? Is that the album?
Yeah, that's the last one we did. Yeah.
I'll check them out. Thank you. Adding new stuff.
No worries, man. I hope you like it. We have a lot of fun with it. It's been great. We've never actually played in the same room together, but it's just a recording project. We've toured a lot with Psychroptic over the years, though.
Yeah, they came here with Fallujah in Dublin, and Jesus Christ, it was insane.
Yeah, they're such a great band, man, and great dudes, really good friends as well. Yeah, all great guys.
Nice. Burial Pit.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah. I think are they Melbourne, or I've heard of them.
They are Sydney. Although I think Jack, the is in Perth, or might be Melbourne. But anyway, really cool guys. The drummer Griff plays in Low. He's the drummer.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I knew they kind of. I know that I see him on bills and stuff all the time. I don't think we've actually ever played with them, but I definitely know of them for sure.
Cool. We Lost the Sea.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah. Or who I was saying you about?
Is that Orb or with a B?
O-A-R, Or.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely seen that name around for sure.
Yeah. So Mark's one of the drummers who I stayed with in Sydney. Really good lad. Okay. Such a nice guy. Yano Mamo.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Yep. No, Yano Mamo. Know him. Yep, for sure. We played with them before.
No way.
Yep.
Jesus. Mountain Wizard Death Cult.
Oh yeah. I know those boys. Yeah. Yep.
I met them in Frankie's.
Too. Yep.
They're such nice guys. And then the other ones I've just put: the Berserker, Werewolves, and obviously Thy Art Is Murder.
Oh yes. Yep. I always have a lot of respect for Thy Art Is Murder. You know, they were the first kind of band that put us on a proper Aussie tour.
Okay.
It was like Thy Art Is Murder. It was when they did the Hate record. It was when they were sort of first breaking out and getting bigger and stuff. And they put that Hate album out, and would have been back in 2012 or something like that, 2013. And it was Thy Art Is Murder, Cattle Decapitation, King Parrot, and Aversion's Crown. Ooh. And it was a great tour. It was awesome. The shows were packed, and it really opened our eyes to what was possible for King Parrot. So I'm always grateful to Thy Art Is Murder. They were really nice guys, and Andy and Sean from the band, and Kev. And Jesse, well, I mean, we've had a lot of back and forth. We've never really toured with them again since, because I think stylistically we're probably too far apart. I mean, they do their own thing and they play in the deathcore thing, and that's cool. But awesome dudes. Every time we did Not Fest with them, actually, just recently, they were on that. We got to hang out quite a bit.
Nice.
Sean, the guitarist, is a really awesome dude. I really like him, and yeah, great guys. So, and they're just killing it, you know. Fuck.
Yeah. Are there any other bands that, you know, seeing as I've said, you know, I'm into King Parrot, you know, like I'm wearing a Gorgoroth t-shirt. Any bands to check out, like from the Oz scene, that are like maybe a bit underground that I might not have heard of?
Well, yeah, just some of the bands that I probably mentioned that we were influenced by.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know about or have heard of, really, apart from if you're actually in the Aussie scene. It's like, I mean, Blood Dust are a great band. They're kind of like grind rock sort of stuff. They were always, they've done a Europe tour, and they played it in Scene Extreme maybe once or twice. They played at Maryland Death Fest, but they didn't do like heaps of touring stuff, but they outside of Australia. But they were an awesome band. I loved them when I was sort of growing up. Damaged is another band.
Guys? Bloodlust?
No, Blood Duster.
Oh, Blood Duster. Oh,
yeah, Blood Duster.
Yeah.
And Damaged is another band that I absolutely rate incredibly highly. Like Matt Skid's the drummer. Well, we actually had the drummer from Blood Duster to start off with, and then we had the drummer from Damaged after that, but they both ended up leaving the band, and now we have the drummer from the Berserker. So,
it's such a small city.
It is, man. It is, and we were just sort of like going for the best dude. Like we were just trying to find the best dude, you know. And they were the best dudes. So, but Damaged, you got to hear Damaged. They are out of control. Yeah. They signed to Rotten Records.
Is this
it's them. Yeah, that's the one. They signed to Rotten Records back in the day, which is a guy from DRI's label.
All right.
And yeah, they haven't done anything for a long time, but I'm still friends with the guys. And you know, Jamie the vocalist is a great dude, and Matt the drummer is a great dude, and you know, there's always talk of them potentially doing a reunion and stuff like that, but it just never happens. Bremelin, I don't know if you heard of Bremelin. They're a great death metal band. Dave from Psychroptic plays drums for them.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time as well. They've recently become active again, and they've just put out a new record. Bean Flipper. You got to just put Bean Flipper down as well. They are probably one of my absolute favorites.
Bean Flipper
from Tasmania. And apparently they're going to reform. They wouldn't have played in over 20 years, and they're going to reform next year, apparently, I've heard, on the grapevine.
Right.
And yeah, they've got a couple of records and an EP that is just amazing. From Tasmania, man. They're fucking awesome. Really great band.
Matt, you're gonna have to send me all these bands on an email as well, because just chuck them at me. Just I can't absorb enough, you know.
I'll do it, man. I'll do it. I'll write a list for you for sure. Not a problem at all.
Listen, Matt, I know it's getting late your end. This must be coming up to 11 o'clock now.
Yeah. It's 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Again, this has been a blast, and I've had so much fun. Thank you for being so open and honest about the band, about yourself personally, and look, I can't wait to see you on this tour, and hopefully, as I said, we get to meet up in person. And
yeah, man, let's do it for sure. We'll work it out and stay in touch, and we'll organise to meet up. We'll have a bit of time to hang out. I think on you know, by the time we get to that show, the tour will have been rolling for a while, so we'll know what's going on, and we'll know what to expect and all that sort of stuff. It's not like it's the first show of the tour or anything. And and then we'll be able to hang out and do all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I definitely want to try and make the most of being in Dublin, because it's not every day you get to go to Dublin when you're from Australia.
Yeah. And look, we'll keep in touch for sure. And again, Matt, thanks so much. Looking forward to the new album out next year at some point, and I will definitely catch up with you soon, man. Best of luck with the tour, and to you and the guys, have a great rest of the year.
Thanks so much for your support, man. Very grateful. Appreciate it.
No worries, Matt. You have a good time, man.